Hi and welcome to Leitrim Daily. My name is Brett Early and you are listening to the What's On guide here on the podcast. We have got some exciting events taking place over the next week in the county, and we're going to be taking a look at everything that's happening over the next week or 10 days in Leitrim in the next half hour or so. It's a relatively quiet period in the county, not a lot of events happening, but the ones that are of a pretty high quality, and that starts tonight in the Dock with Jack L. Now, unfortunately, well sold out. It was sold out well before Christmas, and that's what happens in these kind of small, intimate venues when you get the bigger names of Irish music coming to town. Jack L. is in the Dock tonight. If you were lucky enough to get your hands on a ticket, congratulations, you're one of the few who managed to do so. Conal Gallen is in the Landmark Central, and he will be bringing his trademark, should I say, Irish funny music songs and comedy mixture to the people of Leitrim. So you can still get tickets for that. It's in the Landmark Central this evening. On Sunday, of course, all eyes will be on Avantcard Park, Sean McDermott, where Leitrim take on Cork in the second round of the National Football League, and they'll be hoping to improve on their result and performance from Derry last weekend, where they really blew everyone away with their fantastic performance, where they should have got the points, didn't, and will proceed to Cork this weekend, hoping to take at least a draw or maybe even sneak a win to really set themselves up for a really good Division 3 campaign in the league this year. On Sunday morning, there's also a creative writing workshop in the Glen Centre with Monica Corish. Full details of that on their website or also on leitrimdaily.com/events. That is at 10:30 a.m. in the Glen Centre in Manor Hamilton. On Monday, a Train the Trainer course is starting with James Martin of Team Life, and that's taking place in Carrick and Shannon, and it runs for 5 days. There's still, I would imagine, places left on that, but you can contact James. His details are available on his own website. You'll find him on leitrimdaily.com as well. Get an eye towards the following weekend. We have Aslan in town. The rockers from Finglas, so from Ballymun, are going to be playing the Landmark Central on February the 8th, at Saturday night, February the 8th. It's the election night, and it'll be a nice chance to get out and celebrate after entertaining all of the canvassers over the last couple of weeks. There's also another event on February the 8th in Carrick and Shannon, and that is Tintown. It's a play about the IRA internment in the Curragh, and it's by the Blue Raincoat Theatre Company of Sligo. We'll be talking to Paul Cunningham about that later in the show. Now, if there is any event that you're involved in that you want listed on our website or featured in our What's On guide, we would be most happy to hear from you about everything that's going on in your area, your community centre, or your club or organisation. Just let us know, info@leitrimdaily.com, or send us a message on social media, and we would be more than happy to include that. This is a slightly shorter show this week because we have been snowed under by election campaigning, and on Saturday we'll have a full show with all of the candidates that are Leitrim relevant, going to be giving their speak about what they hope to do for you should you entrust them with their vote and then they successfully negotiate the election and find themselves with a seat in Leinster House. That's coming out on Saturday on the podcast. I hope you'll join us for that so you can be fully informed about who will be there to represent you on February the 8th at the ballot boxes. We're going to continue this show with a conversation with Paul Cunningham of the Dock about what's happening there over the next few weeks. And of course, the Dock is always a good place to be if you're looking for something to entertain you. Paul Cunningham joins me again to talk about what's on in the venue over the next couple of weeks. Paul, welcome back to the show.
Thanks very much. Good afternoon.
It's your first time out here in Leitrim Daily Towers.
Yeah, Leitrim Daily Towers indeed. What a view.
It's brilliant. We have a great view of the N4 out here, the windows and the Hive.
Yeah.
Tell us about what's coming up in the next couple of weeks. Obviously, last night you had Lucian Freud, which...
Yeah, we're doing a series of...
Not him specifically.
We didn't have him specifically, but we had a film by Seventh Hour Productions, a kind of a portrait of the man and his life, which is really interesting, and it's a part of a series we're developing, so keep an eye out for more of those coming. I think we've one on Mozart coming up sometime in March or April. But actually on the subject of visual arts, our current exhibition, Tommy Weir, which opened on the 18th of January, is ongoing, and that's really worth a look if anyone's interested in coming in. Wonderful photographs. So
it's a photography.
Yeah, it's a photography exhibition, really interesting subject. I won't go into too much detail, but if you are passing, galleries are free, do call in. It's quite thought-provoking and interesting, yeah.
Lovely. In terms of music, Jack L tomorrow night, but not to be disappointed.
No, can't get a ticket for love nor money, no.
Really, you don't know anyone who knows anyone?
It's been sold out since, I think it was sold out before Christmas, actually, yeah. So if you got a Christmas present of a Jack L ticket, you're a very, very lucky person, because they're like hen's teeth, as they say. So, yeah, that's happening on the Saturday night, tomorrow night, yeah. Or sorry, Friday night, tomorrow night.
Yeah, tomorrow night, yeah. Today's show being Thursday.
Yeah.
We're going out on Thursday. We're recording it slightly earlier in the week. That's pretty much it for the weekend in terms of live music.
That's it, yeah. Then looking forward, then today we kind of get back into the swing of things, I suppose. Then the following weekend, we have a couple of very interesting events on. First is a kind of a thing called Different Rhythm. We've done a few of these now with a DJ called Mick T-Woc, who's
what a name.
Yeah. He's actually doing a residency with us. He's going to be with us for 10 weeks. He's a very interesting character in that he travels the world collecting vinyl records, and then he uses the samples from those records to create his own music. And he's very much interested in Brazilian music, world music, and so on. He's done a couple of really good nights for us with world music and great dancing, great fun. So he's invited a colleague of his, a guy called DJ Sofa, who's from Brussels, who is really, really interesting DJ as well. He plays very, very interesting music. You can dance to it, but it's also some stuff you probably never have heard before, but it's really, really good. So he's flying in to do a gig, and that's on Friday the 7th. And that's a kind of a late night gig. So
but it's all original stuff that they've put together themselves. It's
some of it, no, but they're playing records as well. They're vinyl DJs as well, so you get to watch someone actually playing with vinyl as opposed to computers and stuff like that, which is quite interesting. The vibes are great. The mood is pretty much come in, have a drink, have a dance. And it's a late night gig as well. It starts at 10, so anyone who wants to pop into that, be very welcome if you enjoy a bit of music and a bit of dancing.
And the Jury Cafe will be open for...
The bar will be open, yeah. So it's a proper late night gig. It's a nice alternative for people who can't find something to do at night in Carrick because they're not into the nightclub with the chart music, you know. So it's a nice alternative for people who maybe enjoy a bit of reggae, a bit of world music. You know.
All that kicks off at
10 p.m. on Friday night, the 7th.
So a decent night out.
Yeah, following that then on the 8th, just after maybe timely after the elections results come in, we have a production by Blue Raincoat Theatre Company called Tintown, which is really interesting. I saw this myself in Sligo when it premiered. Bob Kelly, who wrote and directed this, is actually playing his grandfather in this.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah, his grandfather was interned in the Curragh at the outbreak of World War II. He was an IRA member from Dublin. And this is his story, and the story that he would have related to his mum, to Bob's mum, and to his daughter and family and stuff like that. It's a very interesting take on what happened in the Carrick camp from when he went in as a kind of a wide-eyed left-wing socialist revolutionary, and then he describes exactly how basically the collapse of the camp as the factions began to fight each other within the IRA factions, and people took different views on what the future might hold and everything else. It's a one-man show. It's really powerful, quite funny as well, but well worth seeing. Very
sounds
much worth seeing.
Entertaining, and obviously based on the day of the general
yeah,
election.
But yeah, it just so happens we had it booked before Leo called that one. But anyway,
he did you a favour.
Hopefully he did. But anyway, that's at 8 p.m. on Friday the 8th. Saturday the 8th, and great show. Blue Raincoat are always amazing. Really good theatre companies.
Good local theatre company as well.
Yeah, Sligo based, but they tour. This one's touring the country, I think, and it'll probably go further afield. I'd imagine, because really, really, really good. Yeah,
excellent. Now, one that caught my eye when we sat down, just a quick look through before we started recording, was Gregorys Girl. I remember being shown this in school.
Yeah.
And it was an old movie then. It's a real classic, though.
It is, yeah, and it's part of our classic cinema series. We run those once a month on a Tuesday at 11:30 in the morning. It's only €5 in, and we try to put on films that, maybe resonate with people and people might recognise, and Gregorys Girl is definitely one of those. I remember it myself from way back. It's a very charming and very funny film. And of course, Scottish made as well, so a little bit unique, not the usual Hollywood fare. So we expect there to be a good crowd for that. I'd say 11:30, it's only €5 in, so if you're interested in seeing that again,
11:30 in the morning. What kind of a crowd does that attract? Is it older? Is it
we get a mixed bag? Yeah, we get senior
people?
Citizens. We get people who might be unwaged. We get people who are retirees. To be honest, we get a nice mix. And depending on the film that's on, we get bigger or smaller crowds, but it's well attended, and I think people enjoy the social aspect of it because they can come in, they get a cup of tea or coffee, a few biscuits, they get to sit down, have a chat with their friends and whatever else, and then they can get to see the film. And it's quite a social outing as well as an outing to the cinema, if you know what I mean. So it's
Absolutely.
nice. Yeah. Finally, then, I suppose if we're looking a couple of weeks ahead, the last thing I'll mention, or the second last thing I'll mention, is on the 13th of February, and this is an incredible concert by an incredible musician called, forgive me when I pronounce this.
With her name
Yeah,
before.
Alina Blasinska, and she is a UK-based, originally from Poland, I believe. She's a harp player, but she's a harp player like you've never seen before. She basically plays in the jazz quartet, where she is the lead. So she has an incredible quartet, a guy called Tony Coffey on saxophones, and double bass player called Larry Bartley, and John Prine on drums and percussion. If you're into jazz at all, you'll know those names. These are some of the top players in the UK. She herself is incredible. We've actually got a video on our website. If you go to the website and just check out the video, I can't really do it justice, but if you listen and watch what this woman can do with a harp, and the groove is just incredible. So Music Network and ourselves and Sligo Jazz, actually, and Sligo Jazz Festival are helping us promote this one. So we're expecting that to be one of the gigs of the year. Absolutely stunning stuff.
So as usual, if people want to get tickets, get them nice and early.
Yeah, please do. That's the 13th of February, Thursday, yeah.
There's a few other things over that weekend, which is, of course, Valentine's weekend. On the Saturday, you've got exploring the contemporary Irish short story with Jerry Boland, who obviously does writing workshops in the dock.
Yeah.
Is that a workshop or is that a one-off event?
No, it's a workshop. He's basically, Jerry does a weekly kind of writers group, which is basically drop in. Anyone can drop in as kind of, he just facilitates a space where people can come in and do writing. But in addition to looking after that, he also runs these specific workshops, and they've been very popular. This one's proving to be very popular as well. I think we only have 3 tickets left. But this is an 8-week workshop where Jerry will be exploring the contemporary short story, the Irish contemporary short story, and he'll be helping people who are interested in that kind of, I suppose, explore the genre, and then, give them an idea how they might approach writing their own short stories in that Irish style, I suppose. So as I say, he's done a number of these. The last one he kind of touched on the works of McGahern. This time he's focusing on the Irish contemporary short stories. So it's an 8-week proper workshop in short story writing and appreciation. So
at the end of it, you'll come away with possibly a finished work, or
the first draft, or something approaching a first draft, whereby you can start to maybe develop that. But you'll certainly have a better understanding of exactly what the short story genre is about and how you might develop your own.
Fantastic. Tara Clean's also in the venue with a yoga for toddlers.
Yeah, yoga for toddlers.
Well-known yoga teacher.
Yeah, yoga. Yeah, fantastic. And she's so busy. I mean, she's running classes, I think, every 3 or 4 days a week, and 2 or 3 days a week in our place at least, and they're all really, really busy. Yoga for toddlers is very, very popular. It's a wonderful way for kids to, get some exercise in a very gentle and kind of caring environment, nurturing environment, and it's a very relaxing environment as well for them, and that's always good when you have a baby. Maybe just relax them a little bit,
Because they can get fairly hyper.
And not bad for mummy or daddy as well, I can tell you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And finally, the second in your Living in a Leitrim Landscape series is happening.
That's right, on the 15th, Saturday the 15th. We got a huge crowd to this last on the 18th. Sam Moore was talking on the 18th. Massive crowd turned up. And previous one to that, massive crowd turned up. These are really, really interesting, and people seem to really, really enjoy and respond to these events. So Eamon P. Kelly is a former keeper of Irish antiquities. So he's been invited by Pádraig Meehan, who was curating these series of talks for us, to come and talk about the cow goddess and her place in Irish folklore, and particularly in Leitrim folklore. So he's going to be using Leitrim folklore and Leitrim folk tales to kind of describe how this deity, who's very big in the Irish kind of historical annal, is also, you can see it in other cultures throughout the world, a very similar kind of reference to similar kind of gods. But it's particularly rooted in the idea of what Leitrim had to offer in that regard. So, very learned man, knows a lot of stuff, a lovely illustrated talk. So if you are interested in that, in finding a little bit more about the history of Leitrim, and not just Leitrim, but the surrounding region as well, Roscommon, Sligo, this whole area, Cavan, then, come along to that. But come early, because it will be full.
Can you buy tickets in advance?
You can buy tickets in advance, and we'd recommend that you do, because at the last one we almost ran out of seats. There were so many people there.
Yeah, no, it's always good advice if you look at, because it is a limited space. It's just over 100 seats, so exactly, people need to, if they really genuinely want to see something, make sure they get on.
Make sure you book in advance, absolutely.
And as you mentioned, tomorrow night, Jack L.
Forget it.
Too late already.
Yeah.
Perfect example of how you should book a couple of weeks out as much as you possibly can.
Yeah.
Where can people get more information? I know you give this to us every time, but just remind us websites and all that.
www.thedoc.ie. You can give us a call on 07196508828, or just keep an eye out around town and around county for our events guides. And there's a lovely picture of the aforementioned harpist on the cover. So you can't miss it. And that gives you details of everything that's happening between now and the end of May, I think. Yeah.
Perfect. Well, Paul, thanks for dropping out.
Not at all. Pleasure.
Pleasure to go through your itinerary as always.
Great, and thanks very much.
Talk to you in a few weeks.
Cheers.
And that, folks, is all we have time for today. Thank you very much to Paul for being our guest today and talking to us all about what's happening in the dock over the next few weeks. Don't forget, of course, that Leitrim's Health is Wealth is happening on the 12th of February. It's a little bit down the line now, but it's a very important event. It's in the Landmark Hotel on the 12th of February at 8 p.m. and it'll be a fantastic evening of talking about mental health, but also hearing about people's challenges and how they've overcome those, and there's some fantastic speakers lined up on the night. That is it for today. It's a slightly shortened version of the show because we have been putting all our resources and time into gaining a better perspective of what's going on with each of the candidates in the general election next week. And on Saturday we'll be putting out a show featuring a conversation with each of the candidates about who they are, what they represent, and what they want to do for you and why you should vote for them. It's probably the best place to find out intimately about each of the candidates and find out why you should vote for whoever you plan on voting for. So if you haven't made your mind up yet, it's essential viewing for anyone who wants to have a look at who is possible to be their public representative for the next up to 5 years. Thank you very much. I'll be back tomorrow with the Sports Show. Talk to you then.